So we've gotten a number of questions from the podcast and listeners about, what do we actually, what are we doing here at Rise, but also what are the things that a business owner, a operator should be thinking about when they're evaluating a lease, looking for space, what are the constraints they should consider, how do I find the right space, what are the gotchas in a lease? And so we wanted to make sure that we were able to share that information because space is so critical to any business that we wanted to dive into some of those details and ultimately give you a big picture of what are the things you can consider, what should you evaluate, what do you want to make sure you avoid, and hopefully give you some good answers on how to actually find the right space for your business. So I think some of the most common misconceptions that folks have when leasing is that it has to be this massive investment and that you are ultimately waiting and holding on to working out of your home or working out of a self-storage unit before you can take this leap into a commercial space that has all the amenities and opportunities to actually grow your business. And so I think the big piece of that is commercial space is not a one-size-fits-all game. When you think about all of the different types of space available today, you have everything from the industrial big box down to self-storage if you're a business. And so there are so many different opportunities to look at that when you're going out and evaluating these, there is going to be a size that fits your business. And I think the first thing is understanding what's that size, and second, what is your ability from a financial standpoint to afford different types of units. So that's one of the biggest things is understanding that you don't have to be constrained, that there are a number of affordable opportunities out there to continue to expand your business. The other that I'd say is that a big misconception is that you have to have a realtor. I think it's an important thing, or a broker to help you find space. If you're looking for large space, that's absolutely something that you should evaluate. If you're evaluating a multi-year lease, you should have a broker for sure. If it's a 5+ year lease, that's something that you should definitely think about because they're knowledgeable on all the things to consider. But there's also a number of short-term and flexible options like a Rise and others across the country that give you everything you need and have the protections in place, and that flexibility also reduces risk. So I think that's a huge piece, is that as we think about options available in the market, you don't have to go for a 5-year lease. You're not getting locked into that. If you want to, those are out there, but you don't have to start there. And so I think that's another big misconception, is that there is flexible, shorter term lease options, and you don't have to take this huge bite that you might not be ready for. And then finally, the biggest one is that price per square foot you see on LoopNet or Crexi or wherever you might be searching for a specific commercial space is not going to be your all-in cost. And I think that's a huge, huge issue when folks are evaluating space, is not considering all of the additional variables that would be at play. That's everything from maintenance, security, your own Wi-Fi. If there's, for a triple net lease, you're going to be paying that property tax bill at the end of the year. There are so many additional costs that you really need to evaluate. What does that look like? What have former clients or tenants of that space paid? And what is that really going to mean for your overall budget? Because that's a huge challenge. I see this $10 a square foot, that looks awesome, but then it's going to be 2 to 3 times that when you consider all of the maintenance, all of the utilities, the potential capital expenditures to keep that space up and neat, as well as any maintenance, and then that property tax bill at the end of the year. So those are some of the key misconceptions that I think folks really need to consider and understand, is that there are affordable options, there are turnkey options, and as you get into those bigger spaces, really understanding the nuts and bolts of an agreement or a lease agreement to make sure that you can A, afford it, and B, that it suits your needs now and throughout the length of that lease term. So those are some of the big things that I would consider. So understanding the right amount of space is a challenging one, I think, especially when it's your first space, because oftentimes, if you're working out of your home, your garage is filled up, maybe there's some stuff in your basement, your kitchen table's covered in things, and so you might look at it and say, okay, I need another garage. And you end up finding out that, oh wow, when I bring all these things together from all these random places, that I can get it all in there, but there's not enough space for me to walk around, for instance. And so when you're looking at that, the big thing is really being transparent with whoever you're working with on how much material, how much space do you need? Do you need a working area? Do you need a storage area? What does that all look like? And how much space are you covering today? And being really transparent about how much space you truly are using in your home, in self-storage units. And additionally, if you're moving, you're at a point where you need more. And so not only considering what you're using today, but also what that additional space is going to be that is going to support why you're moving. And so looking at those factors is really important. And then the second component is, depending on the term of that lease, what options do you have for growth? And so if I'm moving from my home or an existing warehouse and I'm looking at a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year lease, am I really going to be able to continue to grow and scale in that space? If you're going that direction, really think through that, because you're putting a lot of chips on the table up front to bet on future growth that is very much unknown. And so that's a huge challenge. On the flip side, leases that allow you to add on space, upgrade space, move into new space, and have that flexibility also allows you to start smaller and then expand as your business expands. And so those are the key components. What do you have today? Add some square footage onto that, because you're moving for a reason. You are going to expand your business. And then the last being, what is my opportunity to continue to grow in this space? And if I outgrow it, can I add on, can I upgrade, or can I break my lease and have a clause in there that allows you to have an out after a certain period of time so that you can move? Another clause that comes up is right of first offer on space that is in the same building that you might already be in. So I start in a smaller unit, maybe I'm in retail, but next door comes online. Can I have that first option to go get that space so that if I do need to grow, I can grow within that same group and I'm not breaking a lease? So those are some of the things to consider, especially when you're taking that first step or looking for new space, is really evaluating each of those pieces. So small business owners should really prioritize a few key things when they're looking at new space. The first is, what can I afford? Because that is a make or break on a business. And so understanding your current cash flow and what is the opportunity to add this space. And are you stretching, or do you have the ability to truly afford this, is the first question. Now, on top of that, the reason why I'm moving is critical here. So am I moving because I've outgrown this space and I have opportunities that I'm missing because I don't have enough space to hold inventory, to create things, to move product, whatever the case might be. So understanding that factor is really important, because if it is to move for growth, then that is also going to increase your revenue and therefore your cash flow. So those are some of the key things from a financial standpoint. On top of that, the leases that you're evaluating, are they fixed in terms of a gross lease, meaning that this is the flat rate that I'm paying and everything's included in that gross lease, so I can very easily budget against that number? Or is this a triple net lease that may have me paying additional things on utilities, on electrical, for instance, or for Wi-Fi, for security, for maintenance of the building, for build outs, property taxes? All of those things may hit you if it's in a modified gross lease or in a triple net lease. And so when you're looking at that, really understanding what you can afford and why, and the space you need, are very important. The final thing I think is, what will this space help me do? And so when you're thinking about getting out of your home from self-storage, whatever the case might be, can I operate here? Can I take deliveries at the right times? Am I being more productive? Can I hire more people to help me scale? All of those things should be considered when you're looking at this space. And most importantly, if clients are going to come on site, are you going to be proud of that space? And no matter what business you have, those things are going to happen. Maybe it's not clients, it might be vendors. Do you have the ability to feel proud about the space and it be a representation of your brand? And those are the key things to make sure are there when you're going into this conversation. And then lastly, when you're comparing different types of leases, what headaches am I going to have to deal with? And I think that is a huge aspect that so many business owners overlook, is that if you're going into a triple net lease, for instance, where all of the maintenance, all of the utilities, all the setup, security, you name it, are all on your plate and on your shoulders, that makes an additional job for you. You are now a property manager as well. So you're dealing with invoices, you're dealing with the trash guys, you're dealing with all of these different things that you've got to make sure you're keeping up with, that is taking away time to actually focus on your business. And when we have that scenario of things that are dragging our time away from growing our business, that is going to be a huge drain on resources. And so when you're comparing these things, how turnkey is a space, especially for a small business owner, you want to be able to show up, get your job done, and focus on your business, not focus on a leaky roof. Did the lawn care, landscaping guys show up? Our trash is overflowing. Can somebody call to get that? That's another bill. All of these things that pop up, you want all those headaches off your plate so you can focus on growth. So I think those are some of the key things that really every small business owner should consider when they're debating to take this leap, but also what type of space should they go into. Yeah, so flexibility in today's leasing environment is critical because we're in everybody's favorite word, uncertain times, right? This is a economic roller coaster today, and so deals, opportunities are going to ebb and flow. And that's true with any business, and honestly, any economic cycle, business will ebb and flow, especially when you're just getting started. And so when we think about flexibility, the opportunity to expand as the need arises is critical. We can't predict the future. We don't know what the next tariff shift might be. We don't know the next opportunity that might come up. And so being able to have a flexible lease that allows you to both scale and grow, or downsize or right size as necessary, is so important to make sure that if there is a dip, that it's not impacting your cash flow significantly, and that on the other hand, if an opportunity arises, you can act on that opportunity. If I don't have enough space for more inventory, that means I am losing revenue, I'm losing out on opportunities, and some of those partners might not come back. They may not look to you again because you weren't able to fulfill an order. So you want to make sure that those opportunities are there to grow as you need to grow at your own pace, and to be able to scale up and down as needed. And the best part about this environment, although it's rocky and all over the place, is those opportunities are going to come up all over the place. Businesses are going to grow. This is an entrepreneur's dream. And so being able to be flexible and execute on opportunities as they come up is so critical. And if you don't have a flexible lease, that is going to lock you into that space and cost you more in the long term, because you might have to miss out on things. You might be paying too much because things slow down. All of those can cripple a business. So really looking at the opportunity to have flexibility allows you to grow at your own pace and scale as needed.